Welcome to Argue for Anarchy. I'm Timothy Raybon. We're going to be discussing the meaning of life. What doth life?
Hello, humans of Earth. I'm Avalon. I wrote a thing at work, and I hope I have the time to do this. I forgot to charge the camera last night, and the battery bar thing just went down to the last one, so... Worst case scenario, I'll just pick it back up inside, but... Are you ready for this? I don't know if you are. You might be.
Testing,
You may
testing.
be ready for this. Or you might not be. Regardless, you're watching the video, so... Get your mind blown. You're here. Meaning, in and of itself, is a derivative concept. That is to say, meaning is merely derived at all times, in all circumstances. The meaning of life is derivative. One's meaning of life is entirely derived from what they themselves deem as the meaning of their life. Be that family, legacy, or of simply being. The meaning of love is derivative. One's meaning of love is entirely derived from what they define as love, as true love, as the love that they must experience in order to prosper. The meaning of words is derivative. A statement in one language may be translated to another language and may lose its initial meaning entirely, and or develop an entirely new meaning based on the words used to carry the message of the original statement. You see this all the time in translations of Sanskrit to English, or Japanese to English, or anything to English. You know, the messages carry through, but the words are different. The meaning is derived from the message and the words. It's derivative. All meaning is derivative, hence why many seek meaning in an external sense. A student of philosophy may ask a professor what the meaning of life is, because they themselves do not know, and therefore they seek that answer externally. A student of spirituality may ask a guru what the meaning of life is. These questions, they are valid, and the answers received may be applicable, but they are only applicable if the receiving party deems them to be applicable. For there is no meaning in any answer given to any question that is not received and understood without that meaning being derived personally. A guru can tell a student of spirituality that the meaning of life is to simply be, but that student may not derive meaning from that answer if they do not know how to simply be. You see? D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. You, the one reading and or listening to this right now, you are deriving your own meaning from the very things that I am saying. Perhaps you agree, in which case the meaning that you have derived is derivative. Play that back, understand it. Or perhaps you disagree, in which case the meaning that you have derived is that the meaning that you have derived is not derivative, which is derivative in and of itself. It's really quite funny. Many sects of spirituality are as universal as mathematics itself. You have the option to disagree with the idea that 2 plus 2 equals 4. You have the option to derive meaning from the idea that 2 plus 2 actually equals 5. You have that choice to derive that meaning for yourself. But is it accurate? Is it real? The same applies to geography. A person can believe themselves to be living on a flat plane of rock, a disk suspended in space. You can believe that the Earth is flat. That is a choice. An option. But it's ridiculous. Just as it's ridiculous to believe that 2 plus 2 equals 5, just as it's ridiculous to believe that meaning is not derivative. Some more food for thought here. Color. the meaning of color is entirely derivative. Red, to one person, elicits thoughts of blood, of fire, of power. And to another person, red elicits thoughts of a rose, or of a comfortable flannel shirt, or of a tasty apple. Blue, to one person, elicits thoughts of sadness, of rain, of coldness. But to another person, blue elicits thoughts of the beauty of the ocean, or of the sky on a cloudless day. Yellow, to one person, elicits thoughts of the bitterness of mustard, or of the tang of a lemon. To another, yellow elicits thoughts of dandelions, of butter on bread, of the sun itself. Another example, one I consider relevant to myself. A 9-to-5 job, to one person, is a dreadful submission of one's time and energy that feels like one is enslaved to a system that they were simply born into without any say in the matter. A 9-to-5 job to another person is a massive relief, and a grind that one is grateful for in contrast to the limitations of being unemployed and in poverty. Another example. A man with dirt on his face, with long frayed hair and a long scraggly beard, with clothes stained in mud, blood, and grime, and with a 1,000-yard stare, who is sitting on a street corner, is, to one person, a bum. A bum whose gaze should be evaded and whose life should be avoided. A bum who's made all the wrong choices and who is still making the wrong choices by choosing his life of bumhood. But that same man, to another person, is a man with one hell of a story. The key difference here is in seeing him as a man. A man who had a childhood, who had an adolescence, and who ended up with the scene that you see before you as his adulthood, rather than just seeing this man as the entity of bum. You see, all meaning is derivative. All meaning. Through fact and through perspective, all meaning is derivative. Your life included. So, if you feel lost, as if your life has no meaning, as if you are wandering within a plane of existence that you do not belong in, the irony of your predicament is that you are the one that must derive meaning from the seemingly meaningless. And I believe the camera's about to die. So I'm going to finish this actually so that I don't get cut off when I get back inside. Huzzah! I'm back! New background too, because I rearranged my room a little bit. So as I was saying, to wrap this up, not many more words here. I'm going to repeat the last little paragraph that I ended with. So if you feel lost, as if your life has no meaning, as if you are wandering within a plane of existence that you do not belong in, the irony of your predicament is that you are the one that must derive meaning from the seemingly meaningless. You are the one that must arrive home from work and decide to not rot the rest of your day away while calling it de-stressing. You are the one that must choose a path that fits your footing. Circumstances impact this. Yes, everyone's situation is entirely different, but I fully believe that regardless of circumstance, choice is a superpower inherent in all human beings, including the choice to derive meaning where there seemingly is none. I'm going to end this off with a quote from Alan Watts, big fan of Alan Watts. Stand or walk deliberately, but whatever you do, don't wobble. Derive your own meaning from that. I hope you have a wonderful moment. I bid you adieu. Au revoir.
I'm glad you posted the material you were referencing. There is a lot to unpack here, and I was about to go ahead and have to keep going back to your points in the video. That would have been very tedious. I certainly do appreciate the integrity of your work. I opposed some concepts you brought up because of the nihilistic ideologies though positively profound, which I disagree with. The meaning of life, colors, and the like regarding meaning was your discussion, which I derived was that your argument that objective truth does not exist. I am willing to go into more depth just as soon as I compose a piece on it. Also, Sir Avalon, will you please link your original post on moral entropy? I have your one order, chaos, and moral entropy, which refers to another video. So, like, a lot of this dude's talk in the video is pretty nihilistic, but if you look at the comments, a lot of people are getting real positive feedback from it. That's why I said it was positively profound. And so I went ahead and I actually, I guess I can read it off here. In this sentence, you are blending multiple definitions into one. The meaning of love is derivative. There are more types of love than familial and romantic. To not understand this would cause the confusion that we see in cultures around the world, which you are indirectly citing when you talk about true love as the prime motivational energy force. As a description of most people of the world, I would say they love only themselves and their small community, or their family and friends. They may be romantically invested into someone who shares their same intentions, but still that does not represent the infinite potentiality of love. Yes, I do think it's funny. I derived all this from your statement of love's meaning being derivative. You say the meaning of words are derivative. Suppose I am driving down a road, and at the light of a left or right turn, somebody puts a sign at the front of the dead end that says, "Jesus is coming, repent." I say to my wife driving, "That sounds like a catchy phrase." She responds, "I don't think that's a catchphrase at all." It is a catchy phrase for the church to get people to ask more questions about what they're talking about, I said, and she turns off up the radio. So I realized, like you said, meanings of messages can be construed to be something that was not originally designed. That does not take away from the message originally trying to be shared. Regardless of the validity of the message, there still has a veracity of truth. It still has a veracity of truth. Is it or is it not true? What is the meaning of truth? Truth is that which has actually happened. You say that the meaning of words is derivative. The meanings of words is important. That is why understanding etymology is important. Words have been changed and given new meanings in order to create artificial complexity. That is one way evil advances. It sounds like you are suggesting that there is no such thing as right and wrong, and that everyone is subjected to have their own interpretation of reality, in which there is no such thing as truth, because if someone denies any attribute of reality, there is no way for them to know if they are correct. There are two states that we can be in: stagnant, complacent entropy, or thriving, complex syntropy. To tell people, when asked the meaning of life, just to be, is like telling people, "I don't know." So it may be, to your point, that all meaning is derivative. That being said, we cannot ignore the truth of matters. That is ignorance. More to my point, it is not true 2 plus 2 equals 5. So when you ask what the meaning of life is, there is a correct answer: syntropy. We can agree there is meaning to be found in life, and that it is for each person to find. I do not agree that perception is reality. How did it become so hard to understand life is syntropic? Cellular death is entropic. In a world where entropic forces are dominating people, people will search for meaning. They don't know what they're doing here on this slave planet. The truth is, this is not supposed to be a slave planet. Nature does not control, but nature is in control. We have the free will to treat each other immorally, and this reality is the result. We are choosing to abide man's law over nature's law. We cannot escape the consequences of our choices, and when we collectively accept authority as legitimate, we will collectively be under the control of chaotic entropic forces. The infinite potentiality of love is order and freedom. That is the meaning of life, and I derive that from what people have sought for all time. And you can see that in the old religions of the world. Here's this countercurrent.org had this article called The Sacred Imperative of Ethical Order, an Interreligious Hermeneutic on Entropy, Creation, and Human Responsibility in Abrahamic Traditions. Abrahamic traditions are like the first religions. Here's the abstract of it. This paper explores the convergence between the scientific principle of entropy, as described by the second law of thermodynamics, and the ethical mandates within the Abrahamic traditions, which were Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, utilizing an interreligious hermeneutical approach. It argues that the universal tendency towards physical disorder finds a profound parallel in the theological and ethical imperative to actively combat moral, social, and environmental chaos. Concepts such as the Quranic mizan, which is balance, biblical justice, creation narratives, human stewardship, the condemnation of corruption, and eschatological hope are examined through the lens of resisting entropy. By analyzing key scriptural texts and theological concepts, the paper posts that ethical action, particularly justice and responsible stewardship, represent a divinely oriented human participation in maintaining and restoring cosmic and social order, a sacred covenant against the encroachment of chaos. I found another website called, I found another YouTube page called Pirate Philosophy, and he has a video called A New Order, Entropy, Morality, and Consciousness. I actually thought that it was a video of two people talking about a book, but apparently this dude says, lately I have undertaken the work of writing a book, condensing some of my personal philosophical ramblings. He says it's like 30 pages, and he actually put it in AI so he can get some of it out there instead of just like how he put it, watch the world burn, as his conscience tries to create more ink rivers to write this shit. So he wants to get at least some of it out there. I thought it was two people talking, but it was parts of his book, so I went ahead and tried to contact him. I told him, my dumbass thought those were two people talking about a book. Hey man, if you actually wrote this, I would like to talk to you about moral entropy. I'm making a video for my series, Argue for Anarchy, and I know AI would not do you justice because it is programmed to think government is natural. I love the ideas of sacrifice and wu wei, how those were present here. I was upset the AI did not touch on the legitimacy of authority as the entropic force corrupting the world since Genesis. Trying to get his attention. I know I spelled Genesis wrong. Hopefully he says something back to me. Because y'all should check that video out too. On that pirate philosophy page. So it was that page, and it was this page. Yeah. I gonna go ahead and call it quits. Call it a day. Well, call it a video. Alright. Peace.